We continue our special coverage right here at The Rock, which is the Results Center, as we wait in anticipation, really, as we continue to watch that blue board for numbers to start trickling in nationally. But for now, we continue hearing from political parties, this time hearing from Hope4SA. They are here represented by Dianne Kruger, who's a servant secretary for the party. Dianne, really a pleasure to have you in studio this evening as we reflect on the 29 May elections. Give us a sense really about what your reflections are insofar as how voting proceeded today.
Well, thank you for having me here tonight, and I think it's been a pretty successful day so far despite the glitches we have had. We've seen the turnout has been fantastic in most areas, a much better turnout than ever before, so we're really hoping for good votes and for a lot to come in onto our board. We're very excited to see the board starting. There has been glitches, there has been things in the IEC's voting stations that have had to be mended or put right, and we do have one or two stations where the people are still standing in long queues. But that's not a bad thing because they have a positive attitude of staying there and voting, which is great.
So let's go back to what your party represents, really. The name of the party is quite telling, I must say, Hope4SA. And one has a sense of what you want to offer the nation. But in practical terms, and insofar as your policies are concerned, give us a few flashpoints of what Hope4SA is about.
All right, well, just to go at the beginning, you're right. Hashtag Hope4SA came out of the fact that I think a lot of business people sat up and said, we need to bring hope back in our country. People have lost hope and people are just not making it anymore. South Africa's burning. And so it was birthed out of that, but it was birthed out of a lot of prayer and strong devoted Christians. And I've got to say in the same breath that just because we are devoted Christians doesn't mean we don't respect all religions. But we are bringing to the party a whole different way of looking at things. We actually have a blueprint in place. We have a blueprint to turn the government upside down. In other words, to look at a citizen first attitude where we support citizens to become autonomous and to be self-directed and to have governance areas. And we also want to bring the government down to 8 ministers from 30. And this is all very, very doable in a very short space of time, and bringing in an innovative data system which will have checks and balances to get rid of that crime and corruption that is such a big problem in our country. And building economy won't be so difficult once we get the crime and corruption underway and we start building in the societies. So a socio-economic attitude is what we have, where we start at ground level with the citizen, giving them a voice and building from there up and plugging in on a flatlining, where we actually go in with the tools to help people promote themselves so that the entrepreneur or the spaza shop owner can get the support they need to actually develop their business, especially the SMEs, so from an economic side. So there's a lot to be done in South Africa, but I believe if we take it dimension for dimension, that this country can turn around pretty quickly.
I'm quite interested in what policy proposals you have to bring forward. You spoke about growing the economy, but the big question is how and what Hope4SA then offers South Africans as well. South Africa has a very high unemployment rate, especially amongst the youth, a slow-growing economy as well. What solutions are you bringing to the table?
I think we have to start from the beginning, and so it will have to start with an assessment across the country. Yeah. There is a very easy way these days with technology. These things are not difficult to do. So one would look at assessing the areas, area for area, and I think just stopping the crime and corruption, we already will have billions back into our coffers. Plus, there are people who want to invest in this country. So the minute they see it stabilizing, we will see investment coming back. So it's really about, if we're looking at a community, for instance, and we go into an assessment of a community, and we can see, but there are people there that are hands-on. They're factory-type people. They can build. They can do material. Then that is where we're going to build a factory. If we're going to go into the youngsters, especially, I see the varsity students that they've got nowhere to go. Yeah. But if we can start tapping into the entrepreneurship, and I actually, in my private capacity, my business, work with these people on a daily basis, which is why I'm sitting here. I want to make a difference for our youth in this country. And so going there and being able to give them the tools they need to be as innovative as they can. We have some brilliant young people in South Africa still, across the board. And so we want to bring that in. This is very doable. Even the huge debt that South Africa has, there's a way to negotiate at the table once you have a stable government. But first we have to have a government in place that is going to really show the world that we actually can bring stability back into South Africa, and we can plug in those plug those holes of crime and corruption. Very important. around.
Speaking about crime, South Africa has a very big problem when it comes to crime, especially violent crime in this country. Insofar as your policy proposals are concerned, what are you putting on the table to really see, especially the rate of violent crime decrease in this country?
I think there's a lot of reasons why that happens. One of the biggest reasons we have crime, and we were talking about that earlier, is maybe a 10% pocket is really bad criminals. And with that, you've got to take a hard line, hardcore. And we actually have the manpower in this country to do that. It's just sourcing the right people. But then for the others, I think once we start looking at bringing back that feeling of safety, security and liberty, so there's food on the table and a roof over our head and a safe environment, which is not that difficult to do once again, just by putting certain factors in place, then you're going to stop the lesser crime, let's call it that, because most young people go into gangs because there's no other way to go. And I worked in prisons for over 2 years, so I've worked hands-on with these guys, and you know what, very few of them are really hardcore criminals. The majority, given the right tools and the right mind attitude, we can change it, we can turn this thing around.
Give us a sense of what took place, especially during your campaign trail. We saw a number of political parties really pulling out all the stops to ensure that they sway voters to vote for them. But do you think your message has really resonated with the electorate?
Yes, simply because we didn't go out looking for votes.
Okay.
We went out looking to change people's mindsets, to bring hope back. Either hope through faith, or hope through a new South Africa.
But you need the votes.
But the votes come automatically.
Yeah.
You know, when I speak to you about something that touches your heart, who are you going to vote for? I have this policy in life, you know, I win your heart, I win your vote. So we went out winning hearts, actually. And because of that, we've won votes. And then we've also had the attitude, because we are a devoted Christian-based party, we have reached out to all the other Christian-based parties. And in fact, a very young party you might know, Arise South Africa, Mpo. That's a more younger generation that's come in together. Now, they didn't get into the nationals, and you might know that, but they did get into the provincials. So we've actually come together and we've made an agreement. So they're supporting us nationally, we're supporting them provincially, except the two that we're in. And so together, we're already building a unity, and that's very important, because I think when we go into Parliament, in any party, there are good people. And we want to be that magnet that brings that to the table, because that's what's going to turn this country around.
We have run out of time, Dianne, for this interview, but maybe give us a quick sense about what you're targeting for this election. I do know that you are eyeing the Northern Cape, 4 regions, as well as 2 provinces.
That's correct. So we strategically have targeted national across, because we want to get big international, and we're trusting that we're going to have a big core going international. We're really trusting God for that. I believe Northern Cape, we have a very good chance of taking it. We've had a very good feel on the ground. I believe in Gauteng, we're going to do a shattering. And then we're going to touch a couple of other provinces as well. But then we've got 2 years with municipal elections and by-elections to put people into those areas.
Well, there you have it from #Hope4SA, and that's their representative, Dianne Kruger, who's a servant secretary for the party, giving us some insight on their expectations as we await for results to start trickling in for this much contested election.